Hey lads, we've got some new info for Dawn of War 4 that is hot off the presses. I'm going to get right into it and share what I've got. This will probably be a pretty short video, but I figure it's stuff that you guys will want to hear. There's also a new trailer to go along with all this, and I will play that at the end of the video in full if you're interested. Alright, let's go. The big news then is that Dawn of War 4 will feature not one, but two Space Marine chapters. To go along with the long-established Blood Ravens, we have the addition of the Dark Angels, a name that comes with a lot of baggage in Warhammer history. At risk of sounding like a complete idiot who knows nothing about 40k, which isn't far from the truth to be fair, the Dark Angels are a huge part of the 40k universe, being the first ever legion of Space Marines created by the Imperium in the 30th millennium. Not only that, the campaign in Dawn of War 4 will also feature the Dark Angels Primarch, Lionel Johnson? Lionel Johnson? Whatever the pronunciation is, having a Primarch be featured in any piece of Warhammer media is no joke, and this one has a particularly unique history, being thought long dead after losing the battle against his former second-in-command, who had been seduced by chaos right after the heresy. But he survived, and 10,000 years later, he will be journeying to Cronus to help the Blood Ravens cleanse the planet once more. Or so it seems. No, I just added that last part. I don't know if there's going to be some mysterious ulterior motive to their arrival. I mean, there certainly could be, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The trailer doesn't get too deep into the reasons of why they're there. On that note, I am really quite excited to see how the Dark Angels and the Blood Ravens will interact and function with each other, both in terms of narrative and gameplay. For gameplay, as part of Dawn of War 4's Space Marine campaign, and as a reminder, there are one of these campaigns for each faction, so 4 in total, you'll be able to play missions as both the Blood Ravens and the Dark Angels, and choose which one you want to go with as you progress. The Dark Angels have their own commanders in the campaign and will play differently to the Blood Ravens, reflecting their unique history and lore in the world of 40k. The trailer suggests that they will have their own units as well, and if I was a guessing man, I'd say they'll function sort of like a sub-faction in a regular RTS game, like GDI and the Steel Talons in Command & Conquer 3, for example. They'll probably share base units, mechanics, and buildings, while differentiating themselves through unique specialty troops and upgrades, while also having a totally different visual style, one that looks sick as hell in the trailer. I'm pretty interested to see how the Dark Angels Primarch is handled as far as gameplay is concerned too. I'm pretty sure he'll be the most powerful single unit that we'll ever have controlled in a Dawn of War game, so balancing that is going to be an interesting challenge for the developers. I'm assuming that we won't be able to deploy the Lion outside of the campaign. I'm pretty sure Skirmish wouldn't allow for such a devastating unit to exist. All this also makes me hopeful that we might learn more about the Blood Ravens' history and origins too, and who their Primarch might have been. The Dark Angels chapter have been around since the founding of the Space Marines after all, and with their own splinter group Traitor Legion turning to chaos after the heresy, perhaps there's some lore or crossover to uncover there, considering it's long been rumoured that the Blood Ravens Primarch was one of those traitors that turned in the heresy. That's obviously all relating to the campaign though. How will a second Space Marine chapter function inside of Skirmish? Well, that's something we're kind of still in the dark on. Are we now saying Dawn of War 4 will ship with 5 factions rather than 4? I don't think so, but I also don't really know how all this is going to work. If I had to guess, I think it's going to go one of two ways. What I think is the least likely of the two options is that there will be a singular Space Marine faction, and as that faction, you'll get access to unique Dark Angels units, maybe through special upgrades or abilities. Perhaps you'll be able to research things that swap standard Blood Ravens units for Dark Angels ones, or somehow have them both deployed on the battlefield side by side. Honestly though, I think that's an inelegant solution that wouldn't let the two chapters breathe and express themselves to the degree that they deserve. So I reckon the way they'll go is that there will simply be an extra drop-down box when you play Space Marines in Skirmish that allows you to select your chapter, Blood Ravens or Dark Angels. Not only does this open up a massive number of options for post-launch DLC in terms of having other chapters, or even other spin-offs of the other 3 factions, but it leans into Dawn of War 4's mechanics in a way that I think makes a lot of sense. An example of this is the game's customizability allowed with your troops, where you're able to swap out weapons on the fly, equip different pieces of war gear, and upgrade them as you go, like a more advanced system of what was in Dawn of War 1. Having this be available with each chapter independently will allow them much more of an identity, not just in how they look, but also how they play, and I'm hoping the 2 chapters feel unique from each other in that way. So I guess, in a way, if that ends up being the case, we kinda will have 5 factions. I don't usually get super hyped for new games anymore, but I've gotta say, I'm getting a little excited for Dawn of War 4. There's still the question of whether they can pull off a proper return to form for the series, but things are definitely looking promising. They're saying and showing the right things, the production values look really solid, and getting access to hands-on gameplay earlier this year, so early in the marketing cycle I might add, gives me confidence that they are confident they've got a winner on their hands. We'll have to wait and see for more information, of course, and I'll be sure to let you know anything more when I have it. For now, thanks for watching, and here's the trailer. See you next time.
The galaxy lies shattered. The Blood Ravens stand alone. We fight, we bleed, we die. For centuries, we have been sworn to defend Kronos. We have returned to find a world in ruin. Orc warlords infest the surface. Mechanicus priests pursue knowledge long forgotten. Ancient horrors awaken, claiming dominion over all. And something still stirs below. Buried deep, lost for eons, and never meant to return. We stand defiant. Kronos must not fall. And we are not alone. Future is untold. Only one thing is certain. War has returned to Kronos.